honestly, chat, this is like really good action. So you see, like off the reset, we kind of get a fumble. We want to get in a reset. We call the clue action. So immediately off the clue action, if you noticed, Josiah is setting the screen towards the wing. The whole point is to allow Kid to be able to have that sort of drive towards that corner. While that's happening, Rome is relocating top. So like we were kind of just talking about, it's forcing the defense to have to make a decision. Are you going to zone this wrap? You know, are you going to follow it? How are you going to be able to play this overload? And a lot of times defenses aren't very comfortable in doing what they're doing. So like, of course, you know, the center kind of wants to like be in there. And by doing an action like this, you're kind of moving the center completely out of the play and forcing them up top. So they might not really be able to really be, you know, impact the play at all. And you're forcing the other two to really be able to pull their shorts up. And like you could be able to attack this on the strong side. Like, of course, you see them here where it's just more the lock in the back end. However, you could do this on the other side as well and be able to attack the point guard. So it's really just about causing chaos and allowing like your guard and just your different actions to be able to get the looks that they want. And you see here, we kind of like ran something. They're kind of stuck. They don't know what to do. The slip's there. You see they're kind of chasing. They're not really like lifting over to play two. And honestly, Josiah gets a fumble, but he's in the dead zone. He got them perfect, easy dunks. That's all you can really ask for. I'll kind of just show it again. And there's so many different things that you can really be able to run off clue action. We actually have a whole playbook just off clue. So kind of just like show it again here. Rome's going to cut through, relocate, and now you have the quick overload, and it's forcing them to have to make a decision. So right here, it's actually a great play call by Kid. Kid's recognizing the defense. We're calling a off ball. We're setting an off ball to the wing for Fox with the corner cut. So the whole point of that is to be able to clear out the man in the corner and allow Fox to be able to have just a clear, pretty much wide open look in that corner off the off ball. So because of course they're worried about, you know, that man there, you have the back end kind of just like sitting. Honestly, he's kind of just in la la land. Truthfully, they're not playing this whatsoever off their like, you know, off the off ball. They're not communicating, and we're taking full advantage of it. And you see it. He just winds up getting it. They recover, but Josiah gets like a nice little screen, and we just get position, just easy up and under, being able to get another one. So this one's kind of more of a broken play, right? You saw we tried to run like a fake Bucks. They want to foul in it. So we kind of run like a similar action here, like a quick. So this is a version of it. And honestly, I think this is actually where we wanted to run Pistons. So the whole idea of Pistons is for a similar action off of the Bucks set that we're kind of running. And while both guards are kind of taking it wide, the, you know, one guard is going to pretty much cut it middle, just cut it right down, due to the back end stepping up to have to worry about guarding the pop in that situation. It leaves the paint wide open for an easy cut. So it's just all about how you're able to sequence that Bucks play in that Bucks set to be able to get you what you want. Unfortunately, we wound up not doing it correctly. Of course, like, running with Kid's not familiar with that play call, and that's perfectly fine, right? Like now he's going to add this one into his play call. So he winds up going under instead. So you see like it's a double under action, which now it's allowing the back end to be able to just pretty much step back. He's playing two as the other two chase to be able to help. And so, you know, we're kind of cooked at that point, but it's very high IQ on them. Josiah communicating it as well for Kid to cut back in. You notice how he's waiting for the back end and the on-ball defender in this situation to pretty much clear out the paint. And it's just a perfect dot right there by Josiah. And I'll kind of just like play it in full motion. But this is what we kind of talk about when you want to, you know, just work with what you got. Just improvise. Easy, read the floor situation right there. Cut in, beautiful. And when you have a center that has a lot of high IQ, you can be able to do things like that. So this is another one off that Bucks action, right? So this is all in that Bucks set. The entire time we're running just, a good amount of our action through that Bucks set because we wanted them to make a decision. Do they want to be able to follow and try to fight through where they had a lot of miscommunication, or do they want to zone it? Now, the downside of zoning it, while you're able to just be able to play, you don't have to worry about over pursuing like any sort of chaos, you're automatically giving up the mismatch, which can be very dangerous in a lot of these situations. You don't want your, you don't want the opposing team's point guard to have to sit there and guard your shooting guard. To sit there and just be able to dribble against your shooting guard, especially the entire possession. It's, nobody really wants that. You have a lock for a reason. You want to be able to set your defense. So that's why you want to be able to switch it up and play it that way. But as far as what Bucks is for, it allows us to be able to manipulate that. And since we've been calling different looks the entire time, they wound up calling pretty much a Bucks into a Fifi off this. So you see the quick Bucks action right here, and then Rome is supposed to be cutting. But it's great on the center right there. Rome actually tries to cut through, but the center kind of plays back to be able to play more so towards the baseline there, and kind of gets that bump. So it keeps Rome from being able to completely cut through. So it kind of messed up the action, but it's very high IQ on Kid, because now, even though he's, couldn't really get the quick open look that he wanted off of that, now really he has like an isolation situation with the person right there. So like now he has a shooting guard pretty much in a zone situation, and he's able to kind of go to work. You see, boom, beats him, little step back, easy money. And we'll kind of just like show that in full speed so y'all can see what it looks like. It's actually supposed to be a lot faster. I don't know why it's not faster, but whatever. All right, so kind of running from here, this is kind of coming up the court. We're calling a quick Bucks action. So we're doing this not only to be able to reset the ball, but what this is doing is allowing the point guard to be able to advance the ball without having the on-ball defender, the lock in the situation, being able to drain their stamina. The last thing you want to do as a guard is pretty much be fighting for your life the entire time up the court. And now when you're finally in the half-court possession, you barely have any of the stamina that you really need to be able to go get a bucket. So it's high IQ to be able to reset, right? So you reset to your center, and you see they're calling like a quick fake Bucks here. So good on them. Boom, quick fake Bucks. He winds up like overplaying it because they ran a Bucks action a little bit at this point. You see him trying to play it up a little bit more. Solid pass by Josiah. And then Kid just taking his time, kind of dragging it wide and getting an easy dunk off that. So this is something when we talk about reading the floor too. Now this is something that we ran just to... This is something you have a high IQ center, or you just have somebody on your team who's reading the floor and recognizing what's happening. We recognized, or Josiah recognized in the situation, that every single time Kid looked to drive at middle, the hash should look to try and pinch over, as well as they're kind of more so lifting the weak side. You see the center in the far side, on Rome's side, you see how high up he is. They're kind of trying to pinch this over to be able to shrink the floor a little bit more and not allow him to be able to drive for the easy rim runs or any of those looks that he's looking for. So Josiah recognizes this, and he tells Kid in this situation to look to quick dot the hash. So what that does is it takes advantage of those people who are trying to, sit there and lift, right? This is the weakness of lift. If you try and over pursue trying to lift, you kind of get caught in no man's land off a quick dot, and it's giving up an easy three. So this is a great way for point guards to be able to keep the teams from being able to pinch and lift, and pretty much send that extra help and close off, pretty much shrink the floor on them. You want to look for that early. You see them lifting, you see them trying to pinch, you want to look to quick dot the hash, and it kind of keeps them in place, right? You tell them, hey, stay over there, do your own thing. We having this dance. It's a beautiful pass, beautiful shot, and a great play call by Josiah. So I believe this is the first Bucks that we called of the day. So you see, look, they wound up Bucksing it. And the key thing I want you all to pay attention to is off this Bucks, you see they're trying to fight, and they wound up zoning it. So immediately, now you have Kid on the off-ball defender. You have him on the shooting guard. And if you have your point guard on the shooting guard, that's easy money. Like that's really where you want to be. And you know that that shooting guard is really not trying to pull up their shorts that much to be able to defend this. So you could look for like trying, maybe the back end's going to try and reverse them out, or, they're going to try and switch them. So like there's things that you can really be able to look at, but that's just a great way of being able to use that Bucks action. And honestly, it's just Kid fried him on this move a couple times, truthfully. That step back, you see he got in front of him. Now Josiah's like setting a nice little screen. And now you see like the shooting guard's kind of over pursuing. He's worried like, oh snap, I got beat. I'm trying to drive up to be able to cut him off. And now he just hits him with a nice little step back. Boom. Can't make it up. But that's exactly why you want to be able to get that switch to be able to attack the mismatch in the Bucks action. This is a great counter, with that entire Bucks set, showing different looks. If you show a couple different Bucks looks throughout the entire day, right? Throughout the entire game, they're worried about zoning. They're really just focused on defending the wraps as much as possible. And of course, if you have a great shooter at your big who can be a threat, the back end has to play high in order to, pretty much play the three ball at that point. So since you're constantly running all different types of actions, one way to be able to attack is kind of going into a Bucks quick. So for this exact Bucks quick, it's more so passing it in. You see quick fake Bucks, boom, out. And that's a great little move. And honestly, they didn't even have to go into like a full one there. And it could just quick one and then pretty much cut in. And now what that opens up is so many different looks, right? Because now you have so many different counter actions off this Bucks action. So, and, back end almost had it. But you see Fox wrapping over, which is great. So if they wind up chasing, that could just be an extra pass to Fox. This could be, another action of Fox actually faking his Bucks and going back towards the wing with, the corner, like my corner flaring up for the three ball, or off this wrap right here, Fox wrapping over, and now you could have Rome flaring up. So, there's so many different actions, so many different looks just off of that one little set that just goes to show why Bucks can be honestly a great offensive set to be able to run in NBA 2K26. And so this one kind of like free flew into it. So you see we're trying to get that reset. This is actually just more of an up ball wrap. Just a wrap and a cut. So Kid's coming up the court. He's calling Fox to wrap. So usually what's going to happen is when you're a point guard, as they're calling their shooting guard to be able to wrap, that's for them to relocate to the other side. So of course you're using that to be able to read the defense, see exactly what they want. So you have Fox wrapping over and looking to cut. He's playing to see exactly what's going on. You see he kind of gets clipped a little bit on the screen. He got over it, but he's still beat behind the play. So if you're paying attention, that back end, I wish I had like a cursor to be able to like kind of show it. But like that back end is like completely watching Kid there. He's just completely locked in, knowing that he's beat. He has to be able to step up a little bit more and show. But Fox is completely beat the shooting guard. You see he's trying to play the lane, but unfortunately he's not in position because he wound up stepping. He just stepped over a little bit more and wound up catching him on that wrap cut. Fox didn't see what he wanted there, so he wound up passing it back out. And just like that, cool. Josiah setting a quick slip, going right down, and they still scored a 2 off the action, just because of the chaos they caused off of it. Honestly, similar action. This is early in the game, right? They call the Bucks action. Kid winds up getting bumped. Honestly, if the shooting guard was paying attention and really like not focused on just chasing the, Fox around, he probably could have been able to get this lane. But right, we'll live with it. So they wound up resetting it and going with the Bucks. So this Bucks, it's not completely set middle. It's a little bit wider. So of course that's just going to have to force them to be a little bit more space. You see the back end stepping up. And exactly what we kind of talked about before, right? Look at where they are. They wrap, they just zoned it. So now, again, we have that same sort of mismatch that we were talking about earlier. and that we saw this entire game, that kid has the mismatch on the off guard. He has the mismatch on the shooting guard. And again, in 2K26, we are taking that all day long. That's exactly what you want. So, as you hear Cheshire just agreeing. No, actually, she just she's brought over a whole toy. My cat's a dog. It's weird. It's weird, chat. But yeah, like I said, winds up getting a switch, getting a move, quick step back, gets him again with that same sort of look. And that just became a theme the entire time. But you saw just a bunch of the different actions that we ran, and we kind of just went through a whole bunch of them. But that just goes to show you a couple ways that you're able to use a book set to be able to help you score more in NBA 2K26. Now, the book set that we actually offer on 2KFR is a whole lot more in depth with so many other play call options and things like that. So if you're looking to get that, you can just reach out in the Discord. Just join the Discord. The link's in the description, or you could reach out to us at any of our social channels. But we do have some great surprises coming up on the way so that you could be able to get more of those playbooks, because we do have a whole bunch of them that we want to be able to help the community with. So if you like content like this, please make sure you like, subscribe, share with friends. And if you're looking for more content like this, you could click the link on the screen here.